What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and I am here to tell you to not sleep on Metroid Dread as Game of the Year or one of the candidates for Game of the Year for multiple different places. Now that Nintendo is showing off more of the game and also showing off more of the cinematic and story touches to suit the environment, the atmosphere, and just the essence of what the Metroid franchise has been for the past 30 years. But before we get into any of that, please make sure you hit that like button. Also, subscribe if you are someone new and hit that notification bell to get my videos first, as we are going to be covering up to date everything on Metroid Dread right here on the channel. Now let's get into this Metroid Dread Report Volume 5, because Nintendo actually released a brand new trailer for Metroid Dread, and goodness gracious, is the cinematic atmosphere combining seamlessly with the new aesthetic of the game. This is one of the best, in my opinion, revivals of an old school franchise, 2D, putting it into the modern edge. It's one of the best that I've seen. They have seamlessly translated pretty much every single 2D game that has been sprite-based or has been really blocky looking, right? Metroid Samus Returns, and transitioned that into HD so seamlessly. It looks like the franchise has never even left, or it had multiple entries in the HD era, which it didn't when it comes to 2D Metroid. So let's get into this tweet from Nintendo. Then we'll get into some of the bullet points for the Metroid Dread Report Volume 5. And then of course, my personal thought process on why you should not sleep on this game as being Game of the Year quality and a good candidate as well. So here's what Nintendo had to say on Twitter. First, the e.m.m.i are coming, but what else awaits Samus? Become the fearless bounty hunter and face the dread. Hashtag Metroid Dread arrives on October 8th, and then they have the link to the actual Metroid Dread report and also the new trailer as well, which you guys are going to be seeing too. So very exciting stuff here. Now we're going to transition over to the Metroid Dread report and go down a few different things, because this is fantastic marketing, and I think that this is probably the biggest separation from what we've got before with previous Metroid games and what Nintendo's done. They are fully leveraging the marketing aspect, the way that Twitter works, the way that YouTube works now at this point, because back when the last 2D Metroid game came out, they weren't really doing anything like this. It was just kind of like, hey, we have some events, E3 or whatever, here's this Metroid game, and that's that. But now we actually have the modern technology to push a franchise like this from obscurity to actual mainstream. And if you haven't seen my videos talk about how this is going to be the best selling Metroid game in the Metroid franchise, please make sure you go check them out. They're all up on the channel when you just search for Metroid Dread on PlayerEssence. So let's get into this here. So Metroid Dread Report Volume 5, the powers of Samus. These powers are very important for those who don't know. Metroid is a game to where you go through a huge map, and as you go through this map, there'll be areas that you can't access. So you're gonna have to go find certain powers, abilities, and things, and then go back to that area in order to access or get further into the game. So it's actually set up perfectly, and countless number of games have copied this formula over the years, now for decades at this point. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that it's coming back with the originators when it comes to the Metroidvania or the style of game here. So welcome to the Metroid Dread Report. The series will introduce the newest information on the Metroid Dread game and the world of the Metroid series, along with the behind-the-scenes glimpses from the game's development team. Samus Aran, the galaxy's most powerful bounty hunter, is a consummate professional who has completed many missions believed to be impossible. In this edition, let's take a closer look at the abilities and arsenal that Samus has within arm's reach. Growing up with Samus Aran, Samus lost her family as a young child after a devastating attack by the space pirates. The Chozo took young Samus under their wing and raised her on planet Zebes. She received a DNA transplant from this bird-like species that altered her physiology and allowed her to adapt to this harsh environment. Before striking out on her own, Samus was once enlisted in and trained by the Galactic Federation Army. The true identity of the face under her helmet remains shrouded in mystery across the galaxy. Transmission from the dev team. Samus is a true professional who takes a quiet and calm approach to her work. Because of this, you might think that she's a cold-hearted person, but you'd be mistaken. In actuality, Samus is a woman with a very kind heart. as evidenced by her show of mercy to a Metroid hatchling while on a mission to eradicate the e.m.m.i species. Perhaps the hatchling sensed a nurturing nature within Samus when it imprinted on her. You have the arm cannon, which is the go-to offensive ability, and of course this can be upgraded in Metroid Dread. Plus, you also have the grapple beam, which will allow you to reach other places and swing across different environments. It's always fun to have the grapple beam. I remember doing that in Super Metroid. It was like the best thing ever. And also, missiles. These are very important. Missiles can open up other places, get access to new different weapons, and all sorts of stuff. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you find as many missile upgrades so you can have a max count. You can increase the max count of missiles that you can have. Now, here's another transition from the dev team, according to this new Dread report. Each attack can be done while running or jumping. In Metroid Samus Returns for the Nintendo 3DS, Samus had to plant her feet to free aim and fire. Now you can aim forward in a wide range of angles while running. This makes it easier to attack from a distance while on the move, and that's a very good gameplay tweak that's going to make speed running, of course, better, then also make boss battles more fluid too. So in Metroid Dread game, most actions like the arm cannon attacks and melee counters can be performed from nearly any position. We wish to emphasize the player being able to maintain their speed and momentum at any given time. Once again, very good for speedrunners, aiming to make the flow through different types of gameplay feel as seamless as possible. These are the little tweaks that are definitely going to get this bonus points once it gets into reviewers' hands and game players' hands this October. So very good on their end to make it a more seamless transition and more fast and fluid. One of the best things about the 2D Metroid games. And they also go over some of the actions and abilities. You have the melee counter, which returns from Metroid Samus Returns. Very good to get enemies off of you when they rush you with certain attacks. You also have the classic Morph Ball, which has been in since the 80s, the first original Metroid game, which is really cool. Always a good gameplay loop with the Morph Ball. You have jumps as well. So Samus's unparalleled physical abilities elevate her jump actions to another level. One such action is wall jumping, where she can jump up and kick off against the wall to climb even higher. Her jumping capabilities can also enhance via upgrades. So for example, you have the new spin boost ability, which allows Samus to jump a second time while spinning through the air. And I will say that I think that the wall jumping is going to be a lot better because they fixed it from what it was in Super Metroid, where they introduced that, but man, it was terrible in that game, but they've gotten much better with that over the years. So for those that are playing Super Metroid on the Nintendo Switch Online, trust me, it's better than that one there. Now, they also talk about some of the other stuff like the Phantom Cloak and all that, which is awesome. That looks really cool. And then also, here's another transmission from the development team. So just like her attacks, we strive to make all her other abilities feel quick, unstoppable, and seamlessly Samus-like. I love that wordplay there. In particular, this time, Samus can pull off counters without losing forward momentum. This paves the way for a more aggressive use of counters, letting Samus take advantage of momentary weaknesses in enemies otherwise out of reach. Successfully scaling walls, slipping through gaps, and knocking down enemies in a fluid series of quick movements will make you feel like the strongest bounty hunter in the galaxy, and that's what I love to see with the 2D Metroid games. And they do go over her power suit and the Chozo-based technology infused with that, and how it's one of a kind, and how her power suit has transformed and done different things over the years. So you guys can check out the full list of stuff that they talk about there. Also the mutation and immunity to the Parasite X, that's from Metroid Fusion. They talk about that as well. And they also give a little bit of the glimpse at the very end of it of what the trailers that you guys have been seeing right now, the glimpse of Dread. So very good stuff here, but I do want to go over one little extra bonus that they slipped in there as well. In the second half of the video, why is Samus wearing a different suit than the one she started with? Stay tuned. So there's definitely some game altering things in here that I'm very happy to talk and discuss here. So let's talk about why this game, in my opinion, is going to be a Game of the Year candidate quality. So we've seen many other 2D games, right, that have kind of jumped up to the Game of the Year discussion. We've seen some of the smaller games. Death's Door this year has done extremely well, reviewed very well, higher than a lot of the bigger games. We've seen games like Celeste, we've seen games like Hollow Knight, people are anticipating Silksong. All of these games are from smaller development teams that are creating some type of experience that rises above a lot of other games. We saw this with Hades being a lot of people's game of the year last year. And if you compare it to what people were saying with Returnal and Hades as rogue games, I think most people would say that Hades is a far better game, despite the graphics being nowhere near as good and not the full 3D type of game. So if we can get Hades in the game of the year discussion, if we can get Hollow Knight, if we can get Silksong, if we can get Death's Door, all these games that traditionally you wouldn't think would be up there with the big boys, there is nothing based off of from what I've seen from the gameplay, from what they're doing with the abilities, reading this Dread report and having a more seamless and smoother controlling Samus to improve the gameplay and make things a lot better than any other 2D Metroid game. Based on the quality of the mainline ones, if you go back and look at the review scores and you look at the gameplay from those, this seems like it's going to be the best. And it has now the graphics and story to back it up. Based on what we're seeing here, this isn't just going to be a cookie cutter, okay, Samus has to go stop this and that's it. There is intrigue, there is mystery, there is, I would say, drama within it. There are cutscenes, the graphics look absolutely beautiful. There is enough in there for me to say, based off of what we've gotten this year when it comes to games and what's coming out in the second half, or what we're getting here, which is a lot of these sequels, what you would expect. The Call of Duties are coming, the Battlefields are coming, stuff like that. Obviously we have Halo, that's going to be great. There's going to be plenty of awesome games, but to see a game return like Dread after such a long hiatus of 2D Metroid, I'm going to go ahead and throw Metroid Dread in there, for me at least, when it comes down to it. And I think it's going to surprise a lot more people with the quality of this game. Mercury's team, they've done a great job over the decades I've been playing their games, and I think that this time they've got a focus, they got a little warm up with Metroid Samus Returns, and now they're going in when it comes to Metroid Dread on the Switch. So I think that this game is going to be a lot better, rank a lot higher than maybe what some people are expecting, and it's going to be a lot more in depth with the story and what they're doing to push the franchise forward and for it to be secure and sell extremely well too. So we're seeing that with the Amazon sales charts, we're seeing that with the GameStop pre-order charts, and I think that you're going to see that when the game drops alongside the new hardware of the Nintendo Switch OLED with the same color scheme with Samus's suit. I think they set everything up for this to be the best selling one and for it to do extremely well reviews wise and also sales wise. So what are your thoughts on Metroid Dread, this new report? What's going on with this trailer, the story? What are some of your predictions for it? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the link in the description. I've got a Twitter page. Go and give me a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.